So welcome everybody to the Bookselling Research Network. And it's going to be a great pleasure to invite, I'm going to mispronounce your name. My French is ridiculously bad. David Piovesan. How do you say your name? Is it close?
Yeah, we can say Piovesan in French, but in Italian it's like Piovesan, so it works.
Okay. David's an associate professor in management science at the Université Jean Moulin, Lyon, more bad French. And you were a CEO of a French independent bookstore. For the last couple of years, he's been doing a European bookshop tour, and these numbers are fantastic. More than 250 interviews in 23 European countries, traveled more than 40,000 kilometers in 4 years of research by low-impact carbon means of transportation. And the result he's going to be speaking about today, the European Bookshop Business Model. So I will be putting a link to the book in the chat in a moment, so you can access it as well. But David, can I turn over to you?
Well, thank you. Do you see my screen? Yeah, my slide with
yes.
Okay, yep. Nice. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to share this few slides. I've got 8 or 9 slides to talk about the book just published by Routledge last October, and yes, you can see on the first slide some front windows of many bookshops I've been into in these countries. The first thing I wanted to share is like the methodology. How did I proceed with the research, and how did I collect all the material and the data? And this is somehow an overview of all the data and the material I could collect these last 4 years, because the book is the result of 4 years research, and it's more about an ethnographic position or immersion in the book industry and in the bookselling field in Europe. As you said, Eben, I was at the beginning of my career already an academic in Lyon with a PhD in management sciences, and I took a career break because I was fed up with university. I wanted to do something else, and of course it was like the dream of my life to be a bookseller and to run a bookshop. So the dream came true. So I ran this bookshop that was already existed before me, and I'm still associated. I'm co-owner of the bookshop, but of course, in 2021 I came back to the university, so I'm no more in the bookshop. It's impossible for me. It's impossible. But I was in this bookshop. You can see the picture of the front window of the picture. With a huge amount of snow. It's almost like this today, really. And so I was there for 9 years. And in 2021, I came back at the university with this idea, a bit original, to do something about bookshops and bookshops from the management sciences perspective. And that was the main idea, and also to do something about bookshops, but not only in France, and to go outside France and to see what are the bookshops, how are they doing, are they in good health, what are their market shares, what are the tendencies, the players, the competitors, the rules of the competition. So I decided to travel in Europe. That was really 4 beautiful years of research. I can say that. I can confess it was really not the most difficult part of the work these last 4 years. And this is a mix of different kind of methodology. I've been 3 times visiting researcher in Prague. That was the starting point of the research, in Padua, in Italia, and in Münster, in Germany. You can see all the countries I've been. So yes, of course, there is 250 interviews, but the most interesting thing for me is that there are 23 countries. I'm not speaking only about France, but there are 22 other countries, and this is for me really important because it was a huge effort to try to understand what are the realities of the bookshops in other countries, and not to speak with a French point of view. Well, of course, it's difficult to forget it, but to understand what are the realities. And the other thing I wanted to say also is the last line of the graphic. You can see that there is a line about fundings. We do not speak often about this kind of topics, but well, it matters a lot, of course, and even especially if we want to travel, because it costs a lot with the transportation and also with the accommodation. So I had the opportunity to have several grants from my university, from another French diplomatic funding, and things like that. But it wasn't so much, in fact. And yes, as you said, Eben, I've traveled 40,000 kilometers, and I estimated that 80% of them were made with low carbon transportation, bus, and to go by bus to Oslo or Lisbon is not so easy as you could imagine about that. But it was really something very important for me, and I want to say that the carbon footprint of the research is around 2,000 CO2. So, and I think we need, even if it's only estimation, we need to have this evaluation of the cost of the carbon footprint for the ecological aspect of the research. And of course, the result of this research is the book. It's the blue picture of the map. Also, I like to say a few words about influences and
David, can I just check? Are you still on the first slide?
No.
Because that's what I'm seeing. Is the first slide.
Okay. Do you see the second one?
No. Try unsharing and.
Okay. Tac.
Maybe share it again.
There it is.
That's it.
Okay, so the second one.
Influences and inspirations.
Okay, yeah, influences and inspirations. What are the books? Of course, I used to be a bookseller, and I can't help doing things with books, of course, because we all love books, and these are the books I had in mind when I wanted to plan and to think about my research. The first one is Voyage with a Donkey in the Sevens. It's a famous one. So it's like a first journalistic or anthropologist road movie by foot by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this was the spirit I had in mind when I was meeting some booksellers, like not too formal, not too official, not too academic, but like conversation with them to talk about their work, what difficulties they were facing. And also, I had in mind this beautiful book from Matthew Crawford, Éloge du carburateur. I don't know the title in English or in American, but you can see on the front cover an engine of a motorbike, and I was interested in the engine of the book industry, of the book selling chain or relationships between players. How does it work between them? Like I wanted to do to chat with them about figures, about economical difficulties, about discounts, rates of returns. I mean, not to collect only discourses about how do they think their job, but how do they really run the bookshop in the face of Amazon, in the face of all the competitors, digital competitors, platforms, and also new reading habits with new generations. And the last one, of course, is Don Quixote, the Spanish Don Quixote, because when I'm thinking now, 4 years or 5 years after this research, I feel I was a bit naive to have this project, and I had some. I was also with my car, traveling with my car, and I was driving and just parking the car in front of the bookshop and trying, to meet the bookseller as if it was like a friend or a colleague. So, well, at the beginning when I started to meet them, I said, I'm an academic and I want to do something about you. Nobody was answering me. But after I changed my tactic and I said, I used to be a bookseller like you. I speak the same language. I have the same problem in mind. And it was impossible to stop them talking about their bookshop. So it's like, we often have something in mind and maybe we will do something different in the research. So the material, as you can see on the third slide, is really it's for me it's maybe the thing that is interesting in the book, that it does give you access to a raw material that is not accessible easily, like in Eurostat statistics or in documents, because there is no one big document or website collecting all this information about bookshops. So I wanted to collect some data that are impossible to collect from your office. I mean, it wasn't like a Teams or a Zoom research. I wanted to go there and to meet people in these 23 markets in Europe. So I conducted, 250 interviews, mainly in English, some in French, of course, and also in Italian. And as you can see, I've also traveled in many Central and Eastern European book markets, because we of course we know a lot about Spain, France, Italy, Germany, UK, and that's it. They are all the main markets we know a lot about. There are a lot of studies, reports, books that have been published on these book markets. But when we go east, it's more difficult to find some studies, some articles, some data. So that was one of my main objective, to go there and to collect some, well, it's difficult to say this word, reliable statistics, because it's not I remember the first interview I made in Czech Republic, in Prague. I was meeting the head of the booksellers and publishers Czech players in Prague. And my first question was, what are the market shares of players? I mean, you're the boss. So what are the market shares of the players? No figure. it was impossible to answer this question because there is no formal collection of data about bookshops and bookselling industry in this country. So that's why I thought I was a bit naive to think it would be easy for the research. It was not. So the content of the book is very easy. Four chapters. The first one is about what is happening in Europe in all these 23 book markets. What are the main players? What are the policies? What are the trends? What are the market shares? And the fixed price system, of course, because we all know that this is something very important in the context. The second chapter is about the business model. What are the components of the turnovers? What are the main expenses? Can we have something synthetic despite all the differences from one country to another country, despite the ownership of the bookshop, if they are independent or not, if they are owned by like big publishing companies or if they are very small and independent. What can we say about the business model? Well, at the end of the book, and the title maybe we should have add an S to business models, of course. The chapter 3 is about competition. This was the thing I wanted to study regarding my academic field, management sciences. What is the competition about? We talk a lot about competition, but they compete. What do they compete? And is it the same? The competition, is it changing? And what are the new forms of the competition? Is there something new in this competition with, of course, platforms, with digitals, with audio, with public policies? And the last chapter is about strategies. Bookshops, how do they face these changes? How do they transform themselves? Do they succeed? Can we see some tendencies? I mean, from Oslo to Lisbon to Sarajevo to Bucharest to Vienna, is there something in common between all these bookshops, or is it really different? Different if we look at the culture, at the market, at the bookshop. So this is the last chapter. If we try to do something like to have an overview of all the result, I try to do like this graphic with two axes. The first one, the vertical one, is about the book price policy. Is it free, mixed, or fixed? Because between the free market and the fixed price, there is this subtle category, the mixed system, and in many countries we have like 6 months or 1 year of fixed price and then the free market. And we are often describing the book policy with these two categories, the free market or the fixed price system, but in fact there is another one, the third one. And the horizontal axis is about the size of the market, small, medium, large. And I try to have this overview with all these 23 markets. Of course, there are some markets that are not included in the study. Yes, I know. Apologize for all these beautiful countries. Ireland, Netherlands, Estonia, Greece, they are missing in the study. So this will be next year, maybe, for the second book. On the map, you have all the countries. In red, it's the countries where the bookshops are healthy, and in red, where they are not really healthy. And the size of the circle is the market share. have a really good position. So you have like on the right side of the screen, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, UK, the largest markets in Europe, the countries we know. All these countries are green, so it means that the bookshops are not in so bad position. Of course, it's not really with figures; it's more a feeling. And all the reds, the red color is about countries where bookshops are in serious troubles. They are more red than green on the screen, as you can see. As you can see, France is only one among 23. As I said, it was really important for me not to be too focused on French. And of course, it's not so easy because it's the country I know the most. So it was really an effort for me. And of course, the independent bookshop model is still alive everywhere in Europe. But the reality, the economical or organizational reality is very different from one country and another country. So the spirit is very inspiring, but the organizational reality can be very different. And we could have, that's the purpose of the presentation, we can have a zoom or a focus or a deep dive on two countries, Slovenia and Czech Republic. As you can see, they are very different. A small one, very small one, Slovenia, and a medium one regarding the size of the market, Czech Republic. 2 million inhabitants in Slovenia, 10 or 11, I can't remember, in Czech Republic. So it's in the middle category. And the fixed price, the price system is not the same. It's mixed in Slovenia and it's free market in Czech Republic. So the first one is about Slovenian bookshop with this picture I took in Ljubljana Books Fair last year with Učila. Učila is one of the main bookshop chain in Slovenia, owned by the publishing company Felix. And as you can see, there is the discount written just above Učila. So this is the fixed price system only for 6 months. But during these 6 months, you can have some discount during book fairs. So here it's the book fair, so you can have some beautiful discounts, 10, 15, and 20. So, okay, it's fixed price system, but it's not really fixed price system. There are many examples possible. In Slovenia, there isn't Amazon. We can say there isn't Amazon for Slovenian books. But of course, all Slovenians are reading in English if they want to read something that is not yet published in Slovenian, because they should wait a long time maybe for the book to be translated. So they are really good in English or American languages, and they can read and buy some English and American books. And where do they buy these English and American books? Mostly on Amazon. So we can say maybe Amazon is not present, but yes, in fact, if they buy some English and American books, yes, Amazon is not operating, of course, in Slovenia, but Amazon is selling a lot of English and American books in Ljubljana. There is 3 main players in Slovenia. The first one is the chains, bookshop chains, mainly owned by some publishing companies, Mladinska Kniha, EMK, or DZ, or Felix, as we saw. These are the 3 main players. So big publishing companies and big bookselling companies too. The second one is all the bookshops that are owned by independent publishers, because it's difficult for them, all these independent publishers, to be sold in all these publishing and bookselling groups, and they have the feeling that their books are not very promoted in all the shops. So what did they decide? They created for them like a showroom. At the beginning, it was the showroom for their publishing company, and sometimes they have some dedicated shelves to other publishers, to other independent publishers. So it's maybe 80% for a showroom and 20% for other books from other publishers. And at least there are some very few independent bookshops, maybe 4, 5, 6, but maybe less than 10 independent bookshops. Really, I mean, really independent bookshops in Slovenia. Of course, it's 10, but it's 2 million inhabitants. It's a very, very small market. And I like very much this last sentence. It's easy to write a book, harder to sell it, and hardest of all to Slovens. It's really funny. The second deep dive or focus is about the Czech Republic, the Czech bookshops. You can see another picture of a bookshop, really beautiful in Brno. It's in the east of Prague, in the middle of Czech Republic. The market is a bit bigger, 10 million inhabitants. It's like the Slovenia. It's the weight of the capital is very important in the book market. They often say that it's Pragocentric. The price is free. The price is the book price is free with huge discounts the day of the new release and every year in the year, even if the price is recommended. And of course, like in Slovenia, there is a link with the recent history. Of course, since the 80s, the market has been changing a lot. Like in Slovenia, there isn't any Amazon operating in Czech Republic, even if warehouses are closed in Germany or even in Czech Republic, but there is a few Czech books sold in Amazon. But as Slovenians, they are buying some American or English books, and where do they buy these books? On Amazon. So we can say the story in two ways. There is also a lot of publishing companies that are owning some book-selling companies. Luxor with this, maybe you've been into this bookshop in the most Wenceslav, the most famous place square in Prague, Wenceslav. This is the most beautiful bookshop in Prague, owned by Luxor. So many big publishing companies that have bookshops. There is one family-owned chain, Kanzelberg, with 50 or maybe more shops everywhere in the Czech Republic. Some small independent bookshops, but the thing that is really interesting is that, like everywhere, the supermarkets and the retailing chains are really have a really significant market share in the book sales. And also, like in Slovenia, like in many countries in Central and in Eastern Europe, the publishers are trying to sell directly to customers, and of course via their website. The competition is really intense and aggressive on prices in Czech Republic. And what is funny is that Slovakia, like the sister of Czech Republic, it is smaller than Czech Republic, of course, but it's exactly the same. The market is free, but the culture of the competition is not the same, and the war on prices is not as intense as in Czech Republic. The country maybe is more peaceful. But the main thing is that the market can be characterized with the vertical integration. Half of the bookshops are owned, or half of the market shares are owned by big publishing companies. And like in Slovenia, it is not so easy to have access to books or bookshops in small towns in the country. or in rural areas. That's what I wanted to say about Slovenia and bookshop. And my last slide. It's not the last page of the book, but it's the last slide. Um, and what was really important for me, it was not to be attracted by all the nuances from one country and to another country, not to be focused too much on nuances, but to try to understand and describe all the trends. What do they have in common, all these bookshops and all these markets? One thing very significant is the market configuration that I wanted to describe, and it's a mix. We are often we often use these terminologies to describe the Western book markets with oligopoly and vertical integration. So we can see this market configuration also all over Europe, in Central and Eastern Europe. Oligopoly is that it means that there is 2, 3, maybe 4 main players that are dominating the market, the bookselling market. So it is oligopoly with fringes, many small independent fringes, but their market share is not a lot. Plus vertical integration. What does it mean? It means that all these players from the oligopoly are owned by big publishing companies, and this phenomenon we are used to see it in our Western book markets. I had no time today to speak about the new forms of competition, but of course, audio is something really interesting that is happening everywhere in Europe, but mainly in the North Scandinavian part of Europe, and especially in Norway, where I've been traveling and meeting some publishers and some booksellers, also in Denmark, and it's something challenging for, of course, bookshops. And maybe the last thing I wanted to say is that, of course, I was really interested in the management or in the strategical dimension, the economical dimension of how to run this bookshop as a business. But the main discovery for me is that the bookshop was a beautiful window to understand and other dimensions, and also the bookshop was impacted not only by economical dimension, but by other dimensions like history. We can't understand anything about the book market in Latvia or in Poland, in Romania, in Slovenia, if we don't see the connection, the link with, of course, what happened since the 90s. So the culture, the history, the social dimension are really impactful to understand the bookshop. It's not only a business. It's a social player impacted by other dimension, and it's mean we need to look at all these dimensions if we want to understand the bookshop. Thank you very much for this invitation and also for your attention. And if you have some question, please feel free.
Thank you, David. I will say I have read the book and I highly recommend it to everyone here. It is packed with information. That's what David has just been describing. Could ask if anyone has any specific questions they would like to ask, either in the chat or verbally. Alistair's typing something, I believe.
Well, I selfishly have a question about Poland. I know it was very unhelpful years ago when you reached out to me, because I still to this day find a lot of the Polish market very kind of a bit of a mystery. Although Eben met a bookseller a few weeks ago who just won best bookshop in Warsaw. They had a competition, so you were there, Eben. But I guess I was kind of maybe selfishly interested in what you learned traveling and speaking to booksellers in Poland. Like, what did you end up discovering? 'Cause I have some thoughts. I'm kind of curious what you encountered in that area.
A lot of booksellers in Poland told me it was a huge competition, very aggressive, very intense with prices, and it was like the Far West. I remember someone told me that it was like the American Far West, and it was the day of the new release, the discount could be like 50% in on a platform or in selling website or from a chain. It was really difficult for all the independent bookshops or small bookshops to survive. But it's the biggest market. I think it's not a country among others. It's like the biggest market, the book market in the eastern part of Europe. So it's not exactly the same as in Czech Republic or Hungary or that are really smaller markets. And there is a huge concern. I had the feeling from the all the institutions. I mean, the public institutions or all the association, the chambers of commerce.
Right.
There is a special commission in the chamber of commerce dedicated to the book. All these institutions are really they want to do things interesting for the book. But as far as I remember, Poland wanted twice to introduce the fixed price system these last 10 years, with a huge delegation from the French, from all the French players, the big ones from the National Union of Publishers. And just at the end, they decided not to introduce the fixed price, not to change anything about the way the competition was organized, because the power, that's my interpretation, but the power of the big players is so important, and their business model is so important for them that they do not want to change anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what you were talking just at the end about new forms of businesses, like kind of new marketing. And just to use the one example I've already mentioned, I mean, I think he won not because he has the best stock selection. It's in fact very small. It's a very small space. But the events that we were able to put on, he's just aggressively promoting authors constantly. Like there's constant, yeah, like Facebook and so on. And it seems like that's the way that they have to make money. There's another business that is more, they call themselves the Big Book Cafe, and they are more event than bookshop. Like there's a cafe event space, and then there happens to be books upstairs 5 hours a day, not on the weekends. And it's worth checking out as an interesting enterprise because it's more like a bookish space than a bookshop to my mind. But it seems like those have to be the strategies. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm only speaking about one market, but it's the one I know at the moment. But it seems like that's kind of what has to happen in order to remain competitive, and to survive, at least in this market. Because I do, like, just again, very anecdotally, do find most apartments I go into, most houses I go into that have a tremendous number of books. I mean, it is, you're right, it's quite a large market. People do buy books. Like it's just, yeah, as you've pointed out in your talk, it's like, well, where is the problem?
But it reminds me the book market in Romania, so not so far from Poland. Of course, each country is very different, but in Romania there is this beautiful bookshop from Cărturești, maybe in Bucharest. Maybe some of you in the audience have been there. It's often quoted as one of the most beautiful bookshop in the world, and it's really beautiful. Cărturești, it's in a very old building dedicated to trade and commerce, and so it's like the main bookshop, and the Cărturești chain is very proud of this bookshop. It's really like a marketing argument for them to say, look at our bookshop. How is it nice and beautiful and blah blah blah. And when we look at the business model of this bookshop, only 45% of the turnover of the bookshop is made with books. So it's only 45%. The other part is like goodies. It's like very surprising because it's beautiful, but they do so many things to run the bookshop and to make it profitable. So is it the question for us is it still a bookshop, or what kind of bookshop is it? And if you have this, we can have the same analysis with this other one of the most beautiful bookshop in the world in Porto. I can't remember the name, but the bookshop is very famous. It's where the movie Harry Potter was inspired with this, the school of Harry Potter. And if you get into the bookshop, there is no one from Portugal. 80% of the people in the bookshops are tourists, are foreigners buying some gifts and some souvenirs to say, yes, I've been there. But is it still really a bookshop?
Oh, you're muted, Evan.
I've been there and I agree 100%. It's a gift shop.
But it's
book-themed
beautiful.
gift shop.
The stairs are beautiful, yes.
Sure. Eleanor, did you want to come in?
Yeah, this discussion is, thank you so much, David. Really fascinating. I'm looking forward to your book. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was just surprised. We have a series of bookshop cafes, and I'd really call them cafes, called Busboys and Poets, all over DC, named for Langston Hughes when he was a busboy in DC. But they just announced, I think it was a $45 million renovation to one of the 7 or 8 stores. And they mentioned this to highlight that they were expanding the bookshop greatly. And the books in there had always seemed like an afterthought, just what we were talking about right now. And we have a pretty, we had a book crawl. We have a pretty healthy independent bookstore situation in DC, which shouldn't be surprising because of the high levels of reading here. We have a population that reads generally, but it just made me think of the afterthought and what people are coming, because I was just very surprised to see them advertising this renovation, that they were doing it to expand the books. And I found that interesting. And it really could be because some of the other bookstores that have come in since its founding, and they could see that there's a market. So it was a comment tacking on to what we were just talking about.
But the cafe tendency is very common. It is happening everywhere in Europe, in Central and Eastern Europe. From the big companies, they all want to have some comfortable and fun and trendy places. So it everywhere in Belgrade, in Ljubljana, in Bucharest, in Prague, and maybe. I'm not sure about that, but it's more a feeling that something really robust. It's more common in all these smaller markets than in bigger countries. Of course, it happens also in France, in Germany, in UK. Of course, we all know that, but maybe it's. I'm not sure. It was maybe in all these countries, in the Western countries, it has happened maybe 20 years ago, and. If I had to say something, I would say that it is more declining now in all these Western countries, and maybe 20 years after it is rising in all the Central and Eastern Europe book markets. Well, I would say that.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot, I won't monopolize, but we have a lot of cafes, bookstores here. But I'm thinking of one of the first ones, which was Kramer Books. And before COVID, on Friday and Saturday nights, it was open 24 hours. You could go to the bookstore, you know, at 1 a.m. if you wanted to. And they had events there, but they've expanded it and even have more books. It's always been a bookstore first, even though they have a restaurant and cafe there. And I will say, historically, of course, a lot of booksellers in the 18th century in the UK, you know, were selling drugs and stationery and everything else. So this is not actually, I mean, they had to do it to survive, you know, it was part of their business model. So I think that's interesting how that, you know, has come back. Anyway.
Actually, I was surprised. Sorry, David, in your book, you quote a Danish bookseller as an example of people with mixed feelings about some of these diversifications of bookstores. He says, economically, it was a disaster, a bad idea, because books and coffee don't mix at all.
Yes, yes, because we are used to hear people and specialists saying that bookshops are seeking new ways of profitability with diversification, with coffee, with restaurants and things like that. And he was trying to think and to say something different. And for me, it was very, very important to hear, like, to look at small voices that are not really loud today, with diversification, but also with technology or with digital presence. A lot of booksellers are doing nothing with Instagram, BookTube, TikTok, and things like that. They do not want, because they feel it's a waste of time. Yeah. So it's also something very interesting to look at. It's not common, of course. It's not the main. It's not the main tendency today. But maybe tomorrow, we don't know.
But did people have generally reactions to the use of social media for bookselling? Do you find? I know a lot of booksellers just find it one extra job.
Yeah. You're right. Of course. But it's like something you must do something on the social medias, and especially if you are from a big chain, a big bookselling chain, of course. Yeah. If you're independent, you can escape and do nothing and remain in your shop.
I was talking to a bookseller recently saying, in the good old days, you had to read the mail and answer the phone. Now you have to read the mail, answer the phone, check your Instagram, respond to Facebook, all those extra tasks that just didn't exist in the past. And they swallow up whatever time you've got. And whether the value of that is there or not is, for a small independent in particular. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, what you're talking about, diversification. I know there are a lot of U.S. booksellers who are looking to become NGOs. I know there's one in New Orleans, that Baldwin and Company is the one that springs to mind. But I did attend a meeting where people, someone who had an NGO, or kind of a bookseller NGO, was explaining how, like, the legal process to which to join. And I'm just to ask, I mean, because I don't know, is this happening in your experience across Europe at all, or is this just like a kind of an American experience?
Yeah, it is something that is happening, but mainly, as far as I know, it wasn't the main target of the study or the tour, but it is happening maybe in some Western countries, where they are trying to find new ideas, to be innovative, and finding some new organizational form to be a big shop, because the profitability is very low. It's like between 0 and 1, so it's the less profitable retails everywhere. So they are trying to think for new models, yeah, but it's not really happening in other countries.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't see it.
it felt very American when I heard it. It was, yeah.
No, it happens in
Mm,
Spain, in
mm,
Italy, in France, in all these big markets.
okay.
Do you have any other questions for people? I had one other. Again, you've talked a good bit about the independents versus the chains. I'm just wondering, have you seen examples in the UK and in Wales and in the US? There are booksellers associations where the independents gather together and collaborate in various ways. Have you seen much of that in European countries where independent booksellers collaborate, co-buy, that sort of thing?
In many countries in Europe, I mean in Central and in Eastern Europe, the independent booksellers they haven't got enough power or market shares. They aren't enough in fact to build like an association dedicated for them. In all these countries, like in Slovenia, in Czech Republic, in Hungary, in Croatia, in even in Poland, I'm not sure, but in Romania, in Lithuania, in Latvia, there is one association mixing publishers and booksellers. And of course, when we have big publishing companies that are also the main players in the bookselling field, they own the association. That's the case in Czech Republic. The association is led by the main players. So the independent booksellers, what do? They try, but it happens now. They try to create some new collective, new ways of collective action. So there is a new network in Czech Republic mixing independent publishers and independent booksellers. But it was created in 2020, so it's a young association, and the main one is dominated by all the main players. So it's very difficult for the independent booksellers or publishers to have something in common. It's exactly the same in Portugal. There is one main association dominated by all the publishing groups and bookselling companies, and there is a young association with independent booksellers, but it was created in 2021, I think. So it's really new.
Okay, thank you. We have I think this is one last question from Donna Harrington in the chat, asking whether author-inspired owned bookstores are a thing in Europe. And I have to say, Anne Pratchett opened Parnassus Books 40 years after we opened Parnassus Book Service. So be in my bonnet. But it is an excellent
I would say
book.
no. I would say no. I would say no. But I'm not sure I can answer. I don't think I know a lot about that, but I would say no.
Okay. All right. There are a few in the States. There's where authors have opened something up for or supporting booksellers as well. Who is it who gives out the grants in the States for bookstores?
Wasn't that Larry McMurtry at some point, or maybe no, it's
there's a
James
novelist,
James Patterson.
Yeah, that's it.
Patterson doesn't own
Patterson.
does he?
He puts out grants to bookstores. Yeah. So, which has been
Yeah,
very useful for a lot of people.
I compiled a list at some point. I came across 6 or 7 names of people who had full or kind of partial stakes. Luce Erdrich has one. Beverly Cleary has one. I'm forgetting her name, but she wrote the novel Florida that was well reviewed. She has something in Florida called Lynx Books, like the cat, and it specializes in books that are banned in Florida. Like it's her like thumbing her nose at the government there. That's a newer one. And oh, is it Jonathan Latham? One of these guys has like a partial ownership in a bookshop. But I don't think he's active in running it. But yeah, those are I got fascinated that this was like a recurring And then there's one in New York City that I'm forgetting who I think yeah. There are a
You're
few.
making me think, Matthew, when you mention Louise Erdrich, because she also has a printing press, I mean, for Indian language, native Indian language, and she's a publisher too. And I think, I'm trying to think of, I think it was the sentence. Her book was about a bookshop devoted to that too. So uh, it just made me think of that, and I thank Donna for that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so any other final questions? Or shall we wrap this up? It's been an excellent conversation. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, thank you very much, David.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
it's great to have, we spend so much time thinking European bookstores, France, Germany, America, UK. It's really good to have it broadened out like that. And I highly recommend, particularly the first chapter of this book is just full of information, which you don't normally get. So thank you very much for that book and for this afternoon.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
And
All
we
right.
should probably pitch December's
yeah.
meeting. Yes, which is a bring your. I can't do it with the same kind of energy Sam brings to this promotion, but we're inviting everyone to bring a book to our next meeting. We'll post about it on the listserv, and it's kind of a Christmas. It doesn't have to be a Christmas book, but it's our Christmas party for the network. Kind of bring a book and talk
Yes,
for a
you
couple of
all
minutes
contribute
about
yourself.
why you would
Yeah.
recommend that book to us.
Yeah.
It's
And for this time, as to tie in with the theme of the upcoming Bookselling Research Network conference next September in Bangor University, the talk about the place where you got the book.
Mm.
right.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Good to
Bye
see you
bye.
all. Take
Bye.
care. That went well.
I think so.
Yeah.